keep telling myself, am I getting crazy? A lot of doctors tell me sometimes maybe it's in your mind,
The pain, practically it was like 24 hours.
It could have been something so serious like cancer, and I honestly think I would have felt happier.
My mental strength is the only reason why I'm able to seem like a normal person, even though every fibre of my being is hurting.
Imagine being told by your doctor nothing is wrong with you, even though you hurt everywhere constantly.
She said, all your blood tests are fine, you're well. Then I'm like, huh? But I feel pain, I constantly feel pain in my muscles.
He sent me back with nothing, not even painkillers.
Despite the pain you feel, your health tests come back normal, mystifying even doctors. This is what it's like to live with fibromyalgia, or fibro for short.
No one really knows what fibromyalgia is, and there's no good treatment either. While there is no known cause of fibromyalgia, experts believe that fibromyalgia is related to the dysregulation of the pain nervous system in the body. So what it might mean is that for the same amount of injury, a patient with fibromyalgia may experience a lot more pain compared to a patient without fibromyalgia.
What makes a diagnosis really difficult is that no two fibro patients are the same.
It felt like someone taking a knife, stabbing into my knee and taking it out constantly. It's just like massive amount of scars all on my skin.
From the mild body aches and feverish feeling and fatigue, it kind of like evolved into more intense, to the bone kind of pain.
I had pains from like my neck all the way down to my hands and then down my spine and my feet as well. The numbness really is more like, imagine tying like a rubber band around your hand. You still can feel your fingers, right? But then there is like a lack of blood flow, that feeling.
I couldn't even get out of bed, and the more I sleep, the more tired I get. And I had brain fog to the extent that I couldn't even recognize my way home.
In other words, symptoms vary widely across patients.
So I think part of the reason why fibromyalgia is so hard to diagnose is because it's very unlikely for patients to present similarly. And even within each group of patients, there's a whole continuum of how severe the pain is.
There are currently no medical tests that can diagnose fibromyalgia, as it leaves no signs of bodily damage. Hence, doctors will conduct a series of tests to detect and rule out other health conditions first. Then, you'll be scored based on what you say you feel.
Everything is very subjective. It's based on what the patient reports and not so much of what we call objective hard evidence.
To be diagnosed with fibro, you should have felt widespread pain in your body for over 3 months based on the Widespread Pain Index. You'll also be scored based on how severe your other symptoms are, like feeling tired and having trouble concentrating. But here's the problem. Pain that one person scores as a 7 could be someone else's 4.
There is no objective way to assess pain. There are a lot of other components that can affect a patient's pain experience, like stress, lack of sleep at night, their mental state at that point in time, their previous experiences of pain and how it was managed. So therefore, it's very hard for the medical professional to actually understand the level of pain and distress the patient is feeling.
Getting a diagnosis can take months, leaving patients like JJ desperate for answers.
I literally go to like Google Scholar and download papers on autoimmune diseases and what they call invisible illnesses. I spent a lot of time, a lot of money searching for a cure from alternative medication like TCM, like acupuncture, cupping, like herbs. At the time I was desperate, right? So like literally everything. Go to like churches, people pray for me and like healing, like Taoism. My whole belief system was uprooted. Why did this happen to me? Like what did I do or where did I go wrong?
For 2-3 years, I couldn't get any help.
Daisy's diagnosis took longer, as fibro was even less well known among doctors a decade ago.
I think most doctors would recognize the term fibromyalgia and that it is a medical condition. However, they may not understand it very well, nor have they seen patients with fibromyalgia before, because purely it's something that is not that common.
While it's unclear how many people in Asia have fibromyalgia, experts say it affects at least 2% of adults in the United States alone. It can develop at any age, but shows up most commonly in women in their 30s to 50s. Misdiagnosis is fairly common among patients as some symptoms of fibromyalgia mimic those of other pain conditions such as hypothyroidism.
Hypothyroidism can sometimes mimic symptoms of fibromyalgia, like vitamin D levels, calcium levels.
When Rina made her first few visits to the A&E, doctors speculated she had a rheumatic or arthritic disease due to pain in her joints. But when the pain spread to her muscles, Rina went searching for a new diagnosis. She went through 18 blood tests and a nerve test, but they all came back negative. With all other conditions ruled out, Rina was finally told she had fibromyalgia.
All I could think was, my life is over. I'm going to live with pain the rest of my life.
Like Rina, many are bounced between specialists and endure a battery of tests before getting their diagnosis. Finally getting an answer can bring a mixture of relief and dread.
We do get some patients who come and shed a lot of tears because they've not seen a medical professional who has understood their problem clearly. They feel frustrated. Once they get a diagnosis, they feel satisfied. And then that turns into exasperation, saying that now I'm stuck with it.
It was a relief actually, as I finally could attach a name to what I'm experiencing, and that now I could actually find out more about it.
By the time I got my piece of paper, I really accepted it.
I literally stood outside the clinic and I just cried. If I have a partner in the near future, I just felt it wasn't fair for that person to have to kind of take care of me for the rest of my life.
I was almost a bit angry. I would rather have a condition that could be cured. As bad as it could have been, I'd rather that it was something that most people knew about to make it seem more real.
There is no cure for fibromyalgia, and painkillers have a limited effect. Patients can only manage their symptoms through adjusting their lifestyle and managing stress.
All they really told me was I would have to learn how to manage this on my own, to eat healthy, to have more greens in your diet, to exercise.
I started going for weekly psychotherapy sessions and basically learn how to be more in touch with my own emotions, with my own self, so that I can manage the pain.
At that time, I was running a yoga school. Rather than kill myself to go to work every day, I would try to at least be there 2 or 3 times a week.
I tried really hard to complete my studies, but I just really couldn't. So unfortunately, I had to leave the institution.
No one knows why some people develop fibromyalgia, but experts think that genetics and exposure to trauma may play a part. Studies have found that patients tend to have experienced abuse, stress, or neglect more than most.
Chronic pain, it's not just biological for what's going on wrong in the body, but what's going on socially, what's going on psychologically.
纤维肌痛这个病，根治会比较困难因为它跟病人的情志有很大的关系只要生活上碰到让他们心情不悦的事情，往往会再度引发这个病。中医认为肝跟情绪有密切的关系所以当一个人心情放松了、开心了，他的肝气就会自然的调大。
The turning point for me was the time when I sought psychiatric help. She tracked it back to my parents' separation and she said, have anyone processed those emotions with you? For the first time, I really felt understood because the doctor told me, don't you think that actually your body is telling you to take care of yourself better now? And I think like that really changed my whole dimension of how I saw chronic pain.
None of my colleagues know that I have fibro, and I hope they don't ever find out. I fear that they would choose not to promote me. I fear that they would consider my peers over me just because I have a condition like fibro. Despite me looking so cheerful and bubbly, sometimes I actually am in a lot of pain at work. Sometimes I discreetly head to the washroom and then take a few pills and then I go back to work and then just continue typing.
Having a chronic painful condition, the patient, I might look completely normal. But if I then told you I've got numbness in my hands and fingers and I can't hold a pen and I can't do lifting, you might think that they're trying to get away from work. We do need more patient support groups. They gain compatriots who suffer from the same conditions, who they can talk to without judgment. But to make patient support groups, we first need pain champions.
Inspired to help fellow chronic pain sufferers, Rina and Daisy set up their own support groups.
I wanted to make the people who join us feel heard and seen for the first time, where we uplift one another, and it's a safe space for people with chronic pain to share their struggles and also do things together.
Today I'm going to share with you what I have in my little medicine box.
Meanwhile, JJ has been creating videos to raise awareness about chronic pain.
I had to go through my entire journey feeling very lonely, and I imagine that if anybody were to unfortunately have this condition, me sharing my experience would really help these people feel not so alone.
I feel like having the courage to come and share my story, albeit anonymously, it would help spread the word that there are invisible conditions. There are people who are suffering even though they don't look like they're suffering. Fibromyalgia is a very real condition. The only thing I'm faking is the amount of pain I choose to tell people I'm in.
Me and my wife, we don't plan to have children at this juncture and probably forever. The thought of bringing another life into this world and having like even a small chance that this person will end up like that, I don't really want to do that. Sometimes there's the fear of like, what's next? I don't know what else will happen to me, and if the symptoms keep piling up, right, I try not to think about it. I really try my best to live one day at a time.
There was once I broke down and I told my eldest son, I said, Josh, I'm so sorry. I wish I had done more. In your childhood, I was always sick and you know, I was never with you. He looked at me and said, what are you talking about, Mom? The best part of my childhood is you. All my great memories of my childhood is always with you. That was a great relief.
I am married now, happily married to a wonderful husband. Right from our first date, I did tell him, hey, I do have depression and anxiety and I have fibromyalgia, and if you don't wish to meet me again after this, it's fine. He actually drew me a card. He said that you are beautiful inside out and you've gone through so much and do not let anyone tell you different. And that made me realize that there are people that will see you beyond your illnesses and see your pain as your strength. You just need to find the right people.